here is the Marlins lineup he will face. Again, they set a season high in runs scored last night, and one of the big reasons why Xavier Edwards tied a major league record with 3 triples in the game. Jonah Bride hit a couple of home runs, his first career multi-home run game. Griffin Conine had a home run as well, and Rodriguez will try to finish his rookie season in the big leagues on a high note.
I think it's been a good season for Yariel Rodriguez. You mentioned 21 starts to this point, and I think today I'd like to see him just go out and pitch. Don't worry about pitch mix or any of that. Try to get the hitters out and just focus on that. He's only won 1 game this season. That was out in Seattle against the Mariners. He threw 6 innings of shutout ball, allowed just 1 hit. And I think he's got that kind of stuff. I'd like to see him really emphasize the fastball, get that splitter into the mix, and kind of reduce the number of sliders he throws today.
They've kind of managed the innings over the course of the year because he really didn't pitch last year. In fact, this is the most innings he has thrown in a season in 6 years. As he misses down and away, ball 1 to Xavier Edwards. Again, the young shortstop of the Marlins had 3 triples and a single in last night's game, went 4 for 6. Rodriguez between Buffalo and Toronto, 102 innings, and that's the most that he's thrown since 2018 as well. So given adjusting to the major leagues, becoming a starter again, which he hadn't been in a number of years, would he like the results to have been a little bit better? Sure, but you know, given the innings he's built up, Buck, it seems like there's a foundation to build on going into 2025.
No question about it. Man, you know what? He's signed a 5-year contract for $32 million, so he's going to be here for the long haul. And it's my understanding that when he agreed to the contract, part of the deal was that the Blue Jays would give him a chance to start. And that's what he really wanted to do. So I think it's been a good season. I think it's been a great stepping stone. You see what he's done in September, 276 earned run average. I think he's in a good spot to catapult from this season to next season and become a big part of this rotation.
Right on the outside corner at 95, and it's 2-2.
Now, we know about velocity and how it relates to success because Bowden Francis has put on a great example of velocity isn't everything. Location means a lot more than velocity, and I think Yariel will understand that his arsenal of pitches can be very effective in the major leagues.
Shakes off Alejandro Kirk once, now has the pitch he's looking for. And a slider down and in. In terms of pitch mix, John Schneider was asked about it before the game today and said that going into next season, ideally maybe a few more fastballs, a few more splitters, which he has used but not all that often this year, and it maybe not quite as many sliders.
Now, he's got a great slider, but when you throw it all the time, you lose some of its effectiveness.
Fastball misses low, and he walks the leadoff man.
Now let's take a look at the defense, how it sets up here on this Saturday afternoon for John Schneider. Nathan Lucas has made a big positive impression on everybody around this team. He's in left field, Loperfido's in center, and George Springer is in right field. Addison Barger is getting a lot of duty over at third. This is 29th start. Clement and Snyder up the middle. No Leo Jimenez today. Spencer Horowitz is at first, Roddy's the DH, and Alejandro Kirk behind the plate.
Number 2 hitter for the Marlins is the third baseman Connor Norby, who went 3 for 6 in last night's game. And now Rodriguez has to focus not only on the hitter but the base runner as well, because Edwards is 31 for 35 on the season stealing bases. Not going, and it's fouled off, 1-1.
Yeah, and the quicker you get a resolution to this number 2 hitter, the better off you're going to be as a pitcher, because the more that Edwards sees Rodriguez throwing out of the delivery, the more information he's going to have as to what kind of jump he can get.
Draws a throw and a back in ahead of it.
He was a little late reacting to that throw. Kind of interesting to me. That suggests that he was thinking about going in the other direction.
Those 31 steals all since mid-July. He has not been in the majors the entire season. He is not going, and it's pulled foul. 1-2. Remember Rodriguez on the IL a couple of times with back issues earlier on in the season, but that actually allowed them to stay within the innings limit that they had kind of prescribed for Rodriguez this year. But it certainly, you would assume that he will go into camp next year with every opportunity to win a job in the rotation and throw more than, say, 105 innings like he's going to wind up near there this year.
Yeah, I think if he's in the rotation, they'll take all of the shackles off and he'll be free to go. Pitch as many innings as he can. He's a big, strong man. I don't think there's any concern about his physical ability to hold up.
And a fastball at 95 on the outside corner to get him.
That's how you finish off an at-bat. You really make a good pitch with your fastball, and you can see it's a four-seam fastball. He locates it on the outer half of the plate, and Norby just couldn't pull the trigger. And you can bet he had slider in the back of his mind because Rodriguez has thrown so many sliders in those situations all season long.
So 1 on 1 out, and here's Jake Berger, who DH'd last night. He's at first base today. And then a fastball to him that is fouled off, and it's 0-1.
Now, Berger is one of the best fastball hitters in Major League Baseball. But at the same time, if you make good pitches with the fastball, you can get him out.
Another fastball, and it's hit in the air to right. And playable. Springer has room and will make the catch for the second out.
Just like everybody else on this team, Rodriguez would love to finish his season on a real high note, pitch deeper into this game, pitch his team into position to win the game, and that would be a good way to close the book on his first big league season.
The two down. Here's Jesus Sanchez, the right fielder and the cleanup hitter for the Marlins. He went 1 for 3 with a couple of walks last night. The one was an RBI double. And a curveball taken low, ball 1. The slower of the two breaking balls that Rodriguez has. He will throw the slider a lot more than the curve. Threw it again, and this time he gets a strike at the bottom of the zone. Edwards still at first, being held on by Horwitz. Hasn't tried to run yet. Not going here. And a third consecutive curveball, and this one misses outside.
Now Rodriguez, he has caught 2 of 10 base stealers. He does a pretty good job. He's varied his release times very effectively with Edwards at first base.
And miss low, ball 3. Trying to splitter there behind in the count, but he bounced it in. Pitch efficiency has been a common refrain at times with Rodriguez, and that has to do with the walk. Some starts the command is really good, and some starts it's not, and the walks get that pitch count up early. And that just misses, and it's the second walk he's issued here in the first inning.
Now this is where I differ from what they have done here. This is the first time that he's pitched against the Marlins. They have no idea what he throws. Come out and establish the strike zone with your fastball. I mean, he started Sanchez with 3 breaking balls, 3 curveballs, and that's basically his 4th pitch. But come out with the fastball. They don't know anything about you other than the video they watched, and establish that you can throw that fastball for strikes.
Fastball for a strike to Jonah Bride, who, as we mentioned, had his first career 2-home-run game last night. And he's now got 10 hits and 4 homers in his last 6 games. He was the first baseman last night. He's the DH today. Another fastball, but it missed. Gets the call on the inside corner. Good two-seamer there, and it's 1-2. Fans getting a little bit noisier, trying to help Rodriguez out here and get out of this here in the top of the first. Xavier Curry awaiting his opportunity. He is the starter for the Marlins this afternoon. Fastball, and it's shot into right for a base hit. Edwards is getting the wave. Springer's throw not in time, and the Marlins take a 1-0 lead.
Edwards can really run, and as quickly as Springer got to that ball, he didn't have a chance to throw him out. It was hit right toward him, but with 2 outs, Edwards at second base is running on contact, and that's another fastball on the outside part of the plate. He takes it to right field. So Marlins, as they did in last night's game, jump out on top here in the first inning.
And it's one of those walks that comes in to score. First and third, 2 down for Griffin Conine. Told you about him last night, the former second-round pick of the Blue Jays. A teammate of Joey Loperfido's at Duke, and a teammate of Davis Schneider's at extended spring training. When he, meaning Conine, was still in the Blue Jays organization, so he is friends with both of them. Hit a home run to the opposite field last night. Edwards knows where the camera is. And
he's been on it quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
The first 2 days.
Yeah. Keeps getting on base, keeps scoring runs. And that's bounced over the head of Horwitz and into right. And another run will come in to score. That's going to be an RBI double for Conine to make it 2-0.
Conine drove in 3 in the game last night, and he bounces this one over Horwitz. It's the 4-seam fastball, and Conine tops it, takes a big hop right in front of home plate, and then bounces over Horwitz's head into right field. And that's going to cash in one, and Conine will end up at second.
He's an interesting guy. He's been a big power hitter in the minors, and you see him out at second with Davis Schneider again. They are good buddies. Spent an extended spring together down in Florida a few years ago. Have kept in touch ever since. Alejandro Kirk on his way to the mound. He had a chat with Rodriguez, and now making his way back to the plate as Dane Myers, the center fielder, becomes the 7th batter to come up. It looked like Rodriguez might get out of this clean. There was a runner at first and 2 outs, but then another walk to Sanchez, and then back-to-back run-scoring hits. 0-1. Myers just recalled Tuesday, missed about 2.5 months with an ankle injury. Another fastball, and it's 0-2.
Now, this has been a pattern we have seen infrequently with Rodriguez. 27 pitches in the first inning.
And missed low with a slider, ball 1. The 2 walks today mean that he has walked 40 batters this year in 82 1/3 innings. So
Yep.
It's cost him runs, and it's cost him innings because of the pitch count.
Pete Walker not happy about the elevated pitch count, obviously. Barrios only went 3 innings in the game last night, and they had to use 4 pitchers. Because of that, they've added a new pitcher to their roster today.
Yeah, made a roster move. Easton Lucas, who wouldn't have been able to pitch this weekend, has been optioned down to the spring training complex, and Nick Robertson has been called up in case they need the arm. Rodriguez gets Myers, but the Marlins get 2. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will come up at the bottom of the first, a hit away from 200. Poised, you never know when it could be needed. but he's doing great on that ice cream. Bottom of the first, and a look at the Blue Jay lineup includes Alejandro Kirk on an 18-game hitting streak, longest of his career, longest active streak in the American League. Davis Schneider, Joey Loperfido, both in the starting lineup today. And again, as we've talked about, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on the cusp of potentially a very nice milestone, something that has only been done 5 times in Blue Jay history. This is Xavier Curry, who has split the year between the Guardians and Marlins organizations, up and down between the big leagues and AAA as well.
This is his 5th start of the season, his first with Miami, and his first appearance against the Toronto Blue Jays. He made 8 relief appearances for the Marlins before this start today.
Slider down and away to George Springer. It is a ball and a strike. Springer went 1 for 4 with a walk in last night's game. Still looking for that 20th home run, trying to reach the 20 home run plateau for the 9th time in his career. Found it back, and it's 1-2.
Well, just like with Rodriguez, the Blue Jays don't know anything about Curry other than the scouting reports and video. They've never faced him before. Curry's not overpowering. His 4-seamer will average about 92. He throws a lot of sliders, curveball, changeup, and an occasional split, but he leans heavily on those first 3 pitches. 4-seamer, slider, and a curveball.
Fastball way up high, 2-2. And popped up into shallow right center. It will be the second baseman, Javier Sanoja, to make the catch, 1 down.
George got a pretty good pitch to hit right there, and it's a breaking ball up in the zone, and that kind of sums up his season right there. A good pitch to hit, and he let one get away right there.
One down, Nathan Lucas, who is in left field again here today. Lucas had a good day yesterday. 2 for 4 with a single and a double, also drew a walk. And I'm sure for Lucas, the winter or going into the offseason, you know, everybody kind of wonders about their situation going into next year. And for Lucas, does he remain in the organization? Does he stay on the roster? Do they, you know, if he is still with the Blue Jays heading into the spring, does he have a good shot to fight for a roster spot beginning next season? Not all of these players who have come up from Buffalo, they're not all going to be on the team. There won't be room for all of them, because you got to believe the front office is going to go out and try to get some guys to bolster the offense. But all Lucas wants is an opportunity to play in the big leagues for anybody. So, you know, first step is, does he kind of survive the winter in this organization, stay on the 40-man? He's hit one down the right field line. He's hit it well, and he has hit his first major league home run. And for him, what a nice moment again. He's had some good moments the last 3-4 weeks, but to get #1 out of the way here before this season, to do it at home, to have all of his teammates waiting in the dugout for him, that's a good feeling.
That's an awesome feeling, and it's been a long time, and you can see the teammates are giving him the silent treatment because that's his first big league homer. We're going to celebrate now. That's awesome. 30-year-old with his first big league home run.
So Lucas gets the Blue Jays on the board. Now here's Guerrero, again sitting on 199 hits on the season. Swings and fouls it back, and it's 0-2. Vladdy is DHing today. Had a couple of hits in last night's game, both singles. Lays off a slider away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Vladdy's had a terrific season. Kind of after a bit of a slow start, but really turned it on about the 1st of May. Hitting .326 for the season.
This could be it, but it's going to carry out to the center fielder Myers, who will make the catch. 2 down. So that gives us a chance. Let's go back to Nathan Lucas and look at his first big league home run.
Yeah, and as a breaking ball down and in, he's able to keep it fair down the right field line. And a great feeling for a player that's been at it a long time. Dan, you'll remember that he hit a home run or hit a ball in Minnesota that looked like it was a home run, but it was against a position player, and it was a triple.
Right.
And we were all kind of glad that didn't go out of the ballpark because we didn't want his first home run to be against a position player. But he had that big offensive game against the Twins, but now he hits a terrific home run for his first in the big leagues.
He has certainly made the most of the opportunity that he's been given here over the last several weeks.
He's got a great swing. There's no question about it. And yeah, you wouldn't say he's a power hitter, but he's a good hitter. And you know what? He gets regular at bats. He's going to hit nearly 300. He's just got that kind of stroke.
2 balls and a strike to count on Spencer Horwitz, hitting cleanup and playing first base this afternoon. Horwitz went 1 for 4 with a walk last night. The one was a 2-run single. Three and 1. And this will find the seats. 3 and 2.
You know, Nathan Lucas told me a couple of days ago the one thing that he wants to do this season, and then very abbreviated season, is hit 300. I think that's a great milestone for any hitter, and you know, with all the modern analytics and everything, 300 is still a terrific goal, a terrific accomplishment, and a marvelous benchmark to shoot for.
Horwitz skies it to shallow left, and backpedaling the third baseman Norby to make the catch. But Nathan Lucas hitting his first major league home run, and that means you get.
Guys, he said absolutely. Guerrero is at a point performance-wise and personality-wise in his career that he's now recognized around the big leagues as the face of this Blue Jays franchise. Dan.
Hazel, thank you. No question at all about that. And Buck, you said in the open, you feel it's maybe the most important decision this franchise has ever had, whether or not they can get that guy signed and soon.
I truly believe that. The impact of what Vladdy has done to this point and what he would do going forward as a long-term Blue Jay, I think would be pretty impressive. And yeah, I know it takes both sides to agree to it, and you know, Vladdy has to feel comfortable in signing a multi-year contract, but he is the face of this team. And you know what? I think the fans enjoy watching Vladdy play with so much joy. Not only is he a good player, but he loves to play, and he plays to the crowd. He knows what he is. He knows he's the star of this team.
Javier Sanoja leading off the top of the second, and he has popped it up for Horwitz.
You know, I've been around a lot of stars in my day as a player, but you know, most stars are revered by their teammates because they understand star players are going to make you better individuals. George Brett, Robin Yount, Paul Mahler, all those guys were teammates that just elevated everybody, and nobody else felt like it was like nobody felt like they had big egos that was bigger than the team. I think Vladdy thinks about the team more than anything. He wants the team to win.
And you've made the point, and many have, and it bears repeating, he's 25. He's the age that some really good players were when they were rookies in the big leagues, and it suggests that, you know, he's probably not in his prime just yet.
He's just learning how to play. Aaron Judge was 25 when he was a rookie with the Yankees, when he was Rookie of the Year, and hit 52 home runs. He was 25 then. He's 32 now. Shohei Ohtani, he was in his third year with the Angels when he was 25. And he had amassed 47 home runs and 147 ribbies. At 25, Vladdy has 160 home runs and 507 ribbies. and already been a 4-time All-Star.
Ground ball to second. Up with it, Schneider, and Pareda retired. Well, Buck, Jose Bautista, just for fun, did not become a regular in the majors until he was 25, and didn't become Jose Bautista until he was 29.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what Edwin understands. I mean, Edwin's been around, a great player. He was a great player himself, and he understands you don't see players like this every day, who understands the game, who knows now when he can take a walk, when he has to get a big hit. And, you know, we saw him make a lot of mistakes early in his career, especially on the bases. He would make some silly outs on the bases. Now we don't see that so much anymore.
Well, and it's a team that desperately needs more power than it's had this year. And he's by far the #1 power option on the team. And he's going to be here next year no matter what, whether they sign him or they don't. But, boy, would everybody around here love to see him sign. And you would also think he could be a pretty effective recruiting tool in the offseason as well for free agents.
You know, you talk about Vladdy. Whenever we see Vladdy at first base and another star player gets to first base, they engage in a lengthy conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody likes Vladdy.
He might be the second chattiest guy in the major league. Stuart Burrow is #1. Like right now, Vladdy's getting dominated in that conversation in the dugout because Stuart Burrow gives as good as he gets.
They're having some fun now, aren't they? And
they've got Barrios laughing.
Yeah, and Barrios and Vladdy, they put on a great charity event in San Juan in the wintertime, and they're going to do it again this offseason.
1 ball, 2 strikes, the count on Edwards with 2 down and the bases empty here in the top of the second. Seven, but it misses away. Ball 2. Rodriguez has averaged about 94 with his 4-seam fastball this year. Foul ball the other way.
You know, another thing I would do with Rodriguez is I would quicken up his tempo. We saw Tanner Houck of the Red Sox pitch here not long ago, and he was fire a pitch, get it back, fire another pitch, get it back, and you always keep pressure on the hitter when you're doing that. First of all, it sends a real positive message that you feel good about what you're featuring on that given day. Plus, the hitters don't have much time to think.
A splitter and a great stop by Davis Schneider. Back to his feet, and he throws him out. Terrific play out at second by Schneider to take a base hit away from Xavier Edwards, and that helps Yariel Rodriguez to a 3-up, 3-down, top of the second. Schneider lunging headlong and back to his feet and on to first. Today, TD, ready for Blue Jays fans, ready for you. Alejandro Kirk leading off the bottom of the second. It is 2-1 Marlins. Kirk 2 more hits last night. During the 18-game hitting streak, he is hitting .316. And again, Buck, if they can bottle up what they have seen from Kirk in the last couple of months and roll that out there in 2025, wouldn't that be a good thing?
Yeah, I told Alejandro before the game today, I said, man, you have really worked hard. He's improved his throwing dramatically. I think John's very pleased with what he has seen with the extra playing time that he's gotten since Danny Jansen was traded on the 27th of July. And Kirk does not appear to be wearing down under the burden of a heavy workload. He's actually flourishing right now. And he's really swinging the bat well. He's got that line drive stroke working. But I think I'm most impressed with his ability to improve his arm strength from the start of the season into the second half. It's gotten dramatically stronger.
In there, 2-2. Big cut and a foul back. Still 2-2 on Kirk.
Yeah, he's really quick here late in the season. He can wait, and he has empire. Was that ball high? But he's been wearing out that high pitch, especially the fastballs.
And takes that one down and away to run the count full. Ernie Clement on deck, and then Addison Barger behind him here in the bottom of the second. And he'll draw a leadoff walk. So now Clement comes up. Ernie hit his 12th home run of the season last night. He's at 265. And that is right on the corner for a strike. Grounded right to the third baseman Norby, and that's a 5-4-3 double play.
That's about as tailor-made as you could ask for right there. Hit right to the third baseman, and Norby handled it very cleanly and made a quick throw to second. Kirk pulls out of the way, and Sanoha made an easy turn at second.
So just like that, 2 down, nobody on for Barger. Barger went 1 for 4 with a walk in last night's game. Had a base hit to right field in his last at bat of the night. Popped it up. Shallow center. And Myers to make the catch. And the inning is over. End of 2. And the Marlins lead 2-1.
And I'll check back with you shortly.
Emily, thank you very much for giving us such a great feel for everything around the ballpark all year. And those bleachers out there, we see it every day. When the gates open, that is one of the, if not the first area to fill up in the ballpark every day. People love kind of that retro feel. A bit of a high throw there from Clement, but Horwitz brings it down, and Norby is retired 1 down. And again, a tip of the cap to the fans here today. This is the second last game of the season for a team that is 74-86 playing the Marlins. No disrespect, but a non-contender, not a rival in any way. And Buck, there's easily 30,000 people here today.
It's been absolutely incredible. And 180 days till the next season. That's the epitome of optimism right there. But the fans have been terrific from day one, and they have supported this team. They've supported this organization, and they continue to believe in these folks. And hopefully next year will be a much better year for the team on the field.
For players these days, and John Schneider talked about this, every player has kind of an exit interview on the way out. And it's different this year. Last year, you weren't doing those kinds of things because you were getting ready for the playoffs. And then, boom, it's over. But now they've known for a while, obviously, there will be no postseason. So these things have already started in some cases. And each player is kind of given a, here's what you accomplished. Here's what we'd like you to work on in the off season. And John Schneider talked like there's very frequent keeping in touch between the players and the team, and a lot of them live in Florida or come to Florida to be at the PDC. There's always staff and trainers, etc., at the development complex down in Dunedin. But Schneider said even for those guys who don't live anywhere near Florida, at least a couple of times a month there are Zoom calls and updates about what you're working on.
Yeah, they just want to make sure they carry out the off-season program, whether it's training or just working on some sort of mechanical issue with your game. You know, and John lives in Clearwater, so he's only 15 minutes away from the complex, and he said, I get over there, you know, later on, probably 3 days a week, but I'm there. Anybody needs me, I'll be right over there. There's always staff there, always trainers, always nutritionists, and always strength and conditioning coaches. So there's always a lot of resources there.
Yariel is going to make the play. Well, you mentioned coaches. Jeff Ware lives down there. Gil Kim lives down there.
Pete Walker has a condo down there.
That's
now.
right.
He's got family down there, so he's going to spend a lot of time there. Yariel Rodriguez is going to spend a lot of time there.
The two main strength coaches that we see here in Toronto, Scott Weberg and Jeremy Track, live down there. DeMarlo Hale lives close to the area. This is the first winter that there's Jeff Ware. This is the first winter that Pete Walker will be down there full time. That, by the way, was Barrios giving to Rodriguez the gears for catching a pop-up. Jose Barrios won the Gold Glove in the American League last year, and I think he'd like to say, hey, man, only I get to catch pop-ups. And the players do hold Barrios in a different regard than the other pitchers when it comes to fielding. Remember Vladdy came down and got in a rundown play at home plate about 10 days ago. Can't remember who the pitcher was, but might have been Ryan Burr or Tommy Nance. I think it was Tommy Nance.
Tommy Nance, I think.
And I said, Vladdy, is it like, are you always supposed to get the plate? He goes, yeah, I'm supposed to get the plate, but he said, I'm supposed to get the pitcher out of there. Then he started walking away and he said, unless it's Jose.
Barrios, he was a shortstop as a kid. He's a very good fielder, and obviously the Gold Glove testimony to his fielding abilities. He too has taken more of a leadership role on this team. Barrios has been very vocal about it. He talked to the manager in the spring, said, hey, you know, I'd like to get more involved with the team and you know, have a few more opportunities to speak my mind, and John welcomed that for sure. I mean, he's as fine a person as you want to be around, Jose Barrios.
A ball and 2 strikes on Jesus Sanchez. And Rodriguez and Kirk are going to talk it over. Rodriguez's command has really come around since the first inning. He walked 2, and both of them came in to score in the first, but now he has retired 6 in a row. He threw 30 pitches in that first inning, and here he is at 54 with 2 down in the third.
Here's another opportunity for Kirk for growth as a catcher. You go out there, and you heard me talk about the first inning. I just felt like they didn't do a very good job of pitching in the first inning, but Kirk now, I think we've seen this more and more frequently with him, when he'll go to the mound and say, wait a minute, I don't think you should throw that pitch right now. I think here's my reasons for throwing this pitch, and he can talk a pitcher into it.
Ripped foul.
I think a bad pitch with 100% conviction is better than a good pitch with doubt. When you ask a pitcher to throw a pitch that he's not committed to, it's not going to be a good result.
Jammed him, and it is popped up and playable for Barger over near the line, but in fair territory he makes the catch. And the second consecutive 3-up, 3-down inning for Yariel Rodriguez. Schneider is set to lead it off. Schneider getting the start at second base today. No Leo Jimenez, who, remember, came out of the game late last night. You may remember kind of a soft liner up the middle. He jumped, made the catch, came down, but aggravated his right knee. And he had some imaging, nothing structural. John Schneider said he's day to day, but, you know, given this is the second last day of the season, we've probably seen the last of Leo Jimenez this year. But nothing serious for him. Curveball in there for a strike, 1-2. Slider away, 2-2. Davis Schneider has had both hot moments and cold moments this year, but overall obviously has not put together the kind of season that he would have loved to. He is hitting 194. He has shown the power, 13 homers in limited at bats. As he grounds this one down the third, Norby will bounce it across, and 2 hops on the way to Berger to record the out.
Yeah, I think Norby would have preferred just 1 hop, but that second hop proved to be a little bit tricky, as Berger kind of pinned it against his body. It's a long throw, and Norby bounces it intensely, but that second hop, you can see how tough that was on the first baseman. Yeah, first baseman, they don't mind that long 1-hopper, but 2 hops gets to be a little tricky.
Now Joey Loperfido playing center and batting ninth for the Blue Jays today between the Astros and the Blue Jays. .220 with 4 homers. On the Marlins side today, their bench coach Luis Ureta is the acting manager today and tomorrow. Skip Schumacher, and it was always expected that he would leave after the season after Kim Ng and the Marlins parted company before the year. Schumacher renegotiated his deal to remove the club option for next year. He wanted to have the option of being a free agent at the end of this year, so it was always kind of assumed that he and the organization didn't see eye to eye and he was going to move on. But he made it official after the game last night, told the players that he wouldn't be back, but is not with the team for a different reason. Unfortunately, a health issue in the family, and Schumacher has gone home for the last couple of days of the season. So Luis Ureta will be the acting manager today and tomorrow.
Yeah, when the Marlins first got here, there was a big air of secrecy around Skip Schumacher's situation, but you and I both knew that he wasn't coming back. And you can see that's Mel Stottlemyre Jr. in the center there. He's the pitching coach. John Jay is on the right. He's the first base coach. And Stottlemyre has been here as the pitching coach for a while.
And Schumacher's expected to be a popular free agent, if you will, in the offseason. The Reds need a manager. The White Sox need a manager. And Schumacher did play briefly for the Reds. But even the Cardinals are a team that people are talking about. Schumacher was a Cardinal for 8 years, part of some very good teams with St. Louis, and maybe they go after him, even though they've got Ollie Marmol. You know, the Cubs had David Ross and made a change and went out and got Craig Counsell. So that, you know, that kind of thing is happening right now. So maybe the Cardinals take a run at Schumacher.
Yeah, and you just have to believe there are going to be other managerial firings before the dust settles this winter. Pretty good pitch right there, and Curry didn't get to call. That breaking ball hung on the outside corner.
One ball, 2 strikes the count on Springer, who popped up at his first at bat. Now takes a fastball high. Hit into left field.
Birds got on top of that ball and pulled it through the 5-6 hole into left field. 2-out single.
So that'll bring up Nathan Lucas, who in his last at bat back in the first inning hit his first major league home run. Pulled it down the right field line. Lucas now hitting .315 in 73 at bats this year. He's had 88 plate appearances because he's got 10 walks, 3 sacrifice flies, 2 sacrifices, and in those 88 plate appearances he's only struck out 8 times. Small sample size, but his strikeout rate is down in Ernie Clement territory, which means it's among the best in the major leagues.
Yeah, but when you start to talk about strikeout rate, of course, Luis Arraez of the Padres, he's got a 4.2 strikeout rate. Jung-Hoo Lee is 8.0, then Ernie Clement at 9.1, and Nathan Lucas right after him at 9.8.
Ooh, that was close. Springer was leaning and I think going, and on 0-2 they threw over, and he just did get back.
A little move towards second almost cost him. And the Marlins are having a look at their replay, and they're going to challenge the call. And that's worth a challenge. It looked awfully close.
Miami is challenging the safe call at first base.
George seems fairly convinced from that expression there that he was safe. The tag came down on the back of the shoulder, it looked like, as he was reaching out for the outside corner of the base.
Well, that's hard to tell. Yeah, he got his glove on, but are his fingers on the base? Right there is the contact. You can see the glove bend when Berger break the tag. I don't know if there's enough to overturn that call. The Marlins are walking off the field.
Except 2 of the outfielders.
It's a long walk for them.
Yeah. They don't want to commit.
George is saying, where are you guys going? Get back out here.
After the call in the field stands, the runner is safe. Miami has to lose the challenge.
Told you. Get over there. You guys get back out there. You're over there. You go to second.
They might have had him, just might have been too close to overturn. That might have been one that just was going to stand no matter which way it had been called. So the at-bat will continue. Springer the lead at first, 2 down, and a couple of strikes on Lucas.
I'd run right here after all that delay.
And he is. The throw down is not in time. Very close down there, but Springer steals it.
Yeah, good time to run right there. You know, the Marlins are thinking, okay, we didn't get the call. They're not thinking about Springer running. He picked a good spot to run right there. 16th time he has stolen base. He has only been caught once all season long.
You saw the catcher Paredes stand up right away. It wasn't really a pitch out, but he saw the runner going. And now a fly ball to left, and all the way back to the track goes Conine as Lucas is retired, and the inning is over. Right as it was beginning, he had 2 different stints on the IL with the back issues, and you mentioned Pete Walker's going to be down in Florida over the course of the winter. And I think Pete and everybody else on the pitching side of things is really going to enjoy and appreciate having a few months with Rodriguez in the offseason so that he comes into camp, you know, better acclimated, just more experienced and understanding what is asked of him. And now he might have landed funny. Alejandro Kirk saw it. I don't know if it's an ankle thing, but it looked like he kind of landed awkwardly on the mound. He winced and kind of bounced off that foot a little bit, and Jose Menestral and John Schneider are going to come out and have a talk with him.
Yeah, you can't let him pitch if there is some concern about maybe he tweaked an ankle or something, but you can see how he kind of landed awkwardly. It looked like he may have caught his spike when he initially landed on that left foot. And he's going to throw a couple here just in case. You got to be honest with the trainer right now. If you do feel anything, obviously there's no reason to continue. But he says, I'm okay. He's good to go. These major league pitching mounds now are absolutely a work of art. They put clay down there and they smooth it out, and you can see each pitcher digs his own hole as he gets out there, gets comfortable on the rubber. But the clay that's underneath the surface is unbelievable how well manicured it is, and the grounds crew here does a terrific job with that.
A one-hopper up the middle. Davis Schneider's got it, and the sidearm throw to first to get a bride. 1 down.
Davis had a couple good plays here. They won in the 2nd inning to retire. Xavier Edwards was outstanding. This one he has to run behind the second base bag and throws on the run, but throws a strike to Horwitz. You know, he's played more left field than he has at second base. This is only his 32nd start at second base. He's not committed an error.
And he is a natural infielder. He just learned how to play left field a couple of years ago down in the minors to make himself more versatile. Here's Griffin Conine, had an RBI double in the first. Hit a bouncer that hit the turf and went over the head of Horwitz and down the right field line. Curveball for a strike, 1-1. that's his four-seamer. You can see, though, it looks like a cutter. It's got that cutting action in on a left-handed batter, but it's just a four-seam fastball. Missed inside for ball 2. To center field, but playable for Loperfido, and out number 2.
This season at Boston Pizza, you can Boston size your bud starting from just $1 more. That's what buds do.
Two down on the top of the 4th, and now 9 in a row set down by Yariel Rodriguez since all the trouble he had back in the 1st. And this is Dane Myers, the center fielder, who struck out to end the 1st inning. One and one.
And just going back to that 1st inning, and we talked about it then, is you come out and you establish that you could throw strikes first with your fastball. And then you go from there. I think he threw too many breaking balls, too many curveballs, especially to Sanchez. Threw 3 curveballs in a row and eventually walked him. But when you establish your fastball, it gives you an idea about your release point, what you have to do to get the ball in the right location where you want to throw it. You establish your fastball first, and then you pitch off of that. And now that he's established his release point, everything else has fallen into place.
Swing and a miss. He got him. Strikes out Myers for the 2nd time, and now 10 in a row set down by Rodriguez, with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. due to lead it off.
He was just a terrific player for a long time. Vladdy and Luis Arraez of the Padres both have 199 hits. There's only one player with 200 so far this season, Bobby Witt Jr.
And if you want to shrink down the list even more, a 300 average, 30 homers, 100 RBIs, and 200 hits. That's only been done once by a Blue Jay, Vernon Wells. Play right side.
Runs scored.
Pardon me?
How about 100 runs scored? That's another big
yeah,
milestone.
Vernon did that too.
Yeah,
so
that's Vladdy's away from that.
And you made the point, and it's another point that shouldn't be forgotten, with not nearly the kind of protection around him in the lineup that he had in 2021 when he had his other great year. Don Mattingly, Guillermo Martinez. Takes a close pitch down and away, 2-2. And this is popped up. So number 200 won't happen here. It'll be a play for Berger. 1 down. One down for Spencer Horwitz, who popped up his first time up. Glad he'll get at least a couple more at bats today. And if he doesn't get it today, for sure will be in the lineup tomorrow. Might be anyways. Spencer Horwitz is in an interesting spot. I mean, I think he's done everything that could have been asked of him this year. Certainly has had a good offensive year, especially against righties. They put him out there at second base for a while after the Will Wagner acquisition. Horwitz kind of went back to being in that first base DH mix. But again, you don't know who they're going to go out and get in the offseason. And certainly is a big leaguer, and hopefully here. But I'm sure there will be a lot of moments in the winter where he's kind of wondering, hey, who are they going to get and where do I fit in? I think a lot of the young guys will do that because there are more guys than spots right now, it would appear, going into 2025.
Yeah, and Spencer's done a great job, and you know, he leads the qualified American League rookies in batting average. He is up there in on base percentage at the top of the rookies. He's third in slugging. He's first in OPS. He's had a good rookie season. But like you say, there's a lot of bodies here in similar roles, so you would expect that some of these younger players are probably going to be included in a trade.
Yeah. Remember, there are 28 players on the roster right now instead of 26. So just with that, one of the position player spots goes away. And remember, Bo Bichette, Dalton Varsho, and Will Wagner are all on the IL, right? And they all. And I think you and I both feel Will Wagner is going to be a part of this going forward.
I think so.
So that's 3 spots. So 3 more spots. So not everybody here today is going to be here in February when they report to Dunedin. A liner to first. And Kirk is retired as Curry sets down the Blue Jays in order.
It's a half-pounder.
Yeah, don't let George see that, Cookie. He's close enough. You're close enough to right field right there for him to tell what's going on. As Yariel Rodriguez gets ready to work the top of the 5th. 4 of the first 6 Marlins against him reached today. 2 of them scored. And since then, he has retired 10 in a row. And again, it's another example of his stuff is good enough. If he is in and around the zone, he can get outs with a lot of his different pitches. Javier Sanoja, the number 8 hitter who popped up his first time up, leads it off here top 5. Nice catch.
See, now there's another example of a fastball. Yeah, he hit it, but it was foul. And, you know, first pitch, when you think about it, how many guys are going to swing at a first pitch breaking ball? They're just not going to do it. They're going to wait on that fastball and look for that first pitch fastball. And, you know, I think that's one of the most misleading stats in baseball is batters' first pitch average, because they're not swinging at everything and they're really cherry picking what they're going to commit to. So sure, their average is going to be up around 350. And I think in the hitters meetings you hear, well, this guy hits 350 on the first pitch. Well, that doesn't mean you have to be careful on the first pitch. You just have to make a good pitch.
Yeah, the batting average for people who don't know, overall in baseball, is much higher on an 0-0 pitch than it is in just about any other count.
Because they don't swing at borderline pitches.
Good sharp breaking ball to get Sanoja 1 down.
Yeah, it looked like a better breaking ball right there, and he's in good rhythm right now. And he's got a nice rhythm, a nice tempo. He throws the curveball and gets good depth to it, and had Sanoja way out in front.
Don't you feel he's got enough pitches that he should be an unpredictable guy from a hitter's point of view?
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think he can even be a little bit more predictable. I think right now he lays on the slider an awful lot. That's what I want to see more of, especially down in the order. I mean, these guys are hitting at the bottom of the order because they're not very good hitters. And that's when you have to be aggressive as a pitcher. That's where you save your pitches for getting deeper into the game. Come right at them. I mean, they have proven that pitching will get them out.
Three fastballs in a row, but he missed up and in with this one, so it's 1-2.
One of the favorite aspects of my job is getting to talk to players before the game and having a chat with them and see where their heads are, see what they're thinking about. That's a beautiful pitch right there, and he's really in a good spot right now. I mean, his rhythm and timing are perfect. Not trying to throw the best breaking ball he's ever thrown, just trusting that it's going to be a good one. Another good curveball. He gets on top of it and locks up the hitter. Pereira takes a good breaking ball for a called strike 3. But I mentioned a conversation I had with Towner Houck when the Red Sox were here, and he's one of the up-and-coming young pitchers in baseball. And he told me something very interesting. He said, I don't have hitter meetings anymore. He said, I don't want to know about the hitter's strengths and weaknesses. I just want to know what my strengths and weaknesses are. If I execute my pitches, I'm confident I can get you out.
It's kind of old school. This one lined to left center, and this will get down, cut off by Lucas on the edge of the track. But Edwards, who, as everybody who watched last night knows, can really run. They'll hold him to a double here.
See, now he fell into a little bit of a pattern, Rodriguez did, because he had such a good curveball to the number 8 and number 9 hitter. He comes right back with it, and Edwards is standing on deck watching it and said, you know what, I'm going to sit on a curveball. And he was all over it. So that was a little bit too much of a pattern. And Edwards has had a big series here with the extra base hits.
And 3 triples last night. He's got a double and a walk. 1 for 2 today. Connor Norby, the batter, he's 0 for 2. And a first pitch fastball swung on and missed. That's a foul ball.
What a good pitch. That two-seamer right inside to Norby, and all he could do was beat it in the ground and right on the top of his foot. And look at the movement on that pitch, and it hit him on the knee. It shows you how much that ball moved inside, and he hit it right on his kneecap.
He's thrown quite a more two-seamers today, or sinkers, however you want to call them, more than he normally does, and he's had some good success with it. He has barely broken out the splitter today. 4-seamers, sliders, 2-seamers, and a little bit extra use of the curveball as compared to normal. That's the slider, and it's fouled off, still 0-2.
And you know, every game is different for a starting pitcher. You can warm up and you can feel like, okay, I got a good breaking ball today. Okay, my fastball, I've got good command of it. My two-seamer's moving a lot. So you might change your game plan from the pregame meeting to the bullpen session to the game.
In the air to right center field, a long run for both outfielders, and Loperfido, the center fielder, will get there to make the catch. Rodriguez threw 5 with a little pump of the fist. Time now for an update with Jamie Campbell.
Get your tickets before midnight tomorrow.
Emily, thank you. It is the bottom of the 5th as Ernie Clement hits a soft liner back to the mound, and Curry is going to make the catch, and on one pitch Clement retired for the first out.
Ernie right off the end of the bat, a little soft liner to the pitcher. This one's got a lot of English on it, and when it hit that hard, you could see almost like a changeup back to the mound.
The Blue Jays with just 1 run on 2 hits so far today. Lucas homered in the first, his first major league home run. And Springer had a base hit in the 3rd. That's it. Slow curve taken low. 1-1 on Addison Barger, who hit a fly ball to center his first time up. One and 2. Activity in the Marlins pen. Darren McCacken is up. And if he's putting the pitch count in, that means it's possibly very close here.
Yeah, at one point he was even scheduled to possibly start this game today.
Edwards outed short and close, but Barger is out, 2 down.
The Y has hundreds of programs and services. Find your local Y and let your potential shine.
Next to last game here of the regular season, the Blue Jays and Marlins will wrap it up tomorrow. But again, remember, if you are tuning in or coming down, first pitch is 3:07, not the normal 1:37. All games in the majors tomorrow start somewhere between like 3 and 3:15 Eastern time. And there are still some things to be decided, most notably over in the National League, where the Mets and Braves, because of the weather issues they had from Hurricane Helene earlier in the week, they are likely to play a doubleheader on Monday. Atlanta's going to host Kansas City again tomorrow, and the Mets will be in Milwaukee again tomorrow. And right now they've got identical records and basically you're tied with Arizona. Arizona's played 2 more games, 1 more win, 1 more loss, but all 3 teams with virtually identical records, and only 2 of them are getting in. 3 up, 3 down go the Blue Jays in the bottom of the 5th. Blue Jays Fan Appreciation Weekend. TD wants to thank each and every fan, no matter where you are cheering from. TD, ready for Blue Jays fans, ready for you. And again, as Buck and I have mentioned, and I know everybody on our crew feels this way, and I know everybody on the team, all the players and coaches on the team feel this way as well. You know, again, to have a crowd that looks like it's in excess of 30,000 today, same last night, whether it's home or road, it's a special bond. And there's the call to the bullpen, and that is going to be also Rodriguez came back out to try to get Berger. He couldn't get him. And Yariel Rodriguez's first major league season is officially complete. Brendan Little will be coming in, and a little pat on the back from John Schneider and from all of his teammates. He thanks them, as he always does, and this is going to be a very interesting guy to see you know, how he comes into camp in year 2 and what kind of a season he puts together next year.
I like that. Tip of the cap to the fans. Thank you very much. That's a lot of class right there.
Yep.
And you know he's got to be satisfied with his first season. He didn't have the record he wanted, but he had a good year.
That as much as anybody, he's going to look over some of the pitches in his last outing of his first season. And here is Brendan Little in to face the left-hand hitting Jesus Sanchez. And for Little, who had a grand total of 1 major league appearance before this year, this will be his 49th of the season with the Blue Jays. As you can see, he's done a nice job against lefties, gets a lot of ground balls. What do you think his situation is going into next year?
Oh, I think he's got a leg up on one of the spots for lefties down in that bullpen. He and Genesis Cabrera, I think they have already penciled him in for next year. He's done a great job, and lately he's been much better.
Diving stop by Clement, but it pops out of his glove, and everybody's going to be safe on what will be a base hit for Sanchez.
Yeah, hot shot up the middle, and he got to it, but it popped out of his glove. I don't know where he was going to have a play, whether it was to flip to second, because he shaded up the middle. He gets a glove on it. Snyder's going to the second base bag, but Clement has a pop out of his glove. I mean, that was going to be a very difficult flip from his belly on the turf, and he couldn't come up with it. So it's an infield hit. So back-to-back hits for the Marlins here.
We'll bring up Jonah Bride, who was 1 for 2, had an RBI single in the first. And there's that 2-seam fastball. That is Little's money pitch. That's what he gets most of his ground balls with.
And Pete Walker has picked up something I think is kind of interesting. He felt like the catchers in general, when they do present a target and then they take it away, I think the target has been a little too high, and because of that he's not been able to get that sinker down the bottom of the zone. And Pete has talked to Little about it, and he loves his 2-seamer. I mean, he compares it to Zach Britton with that 2-seamer, the great reliever for the Orioles and the Yankees. And Britton had one of the best 2-seamers of any left-hander, and he thinks Little has that potential. Wow.
Swing and a miss at that one, 1-2.
That's where you want to throw it, and start it out about knee high and have it move down from there. That should get you a lot of swing and misses, and it's going to get you a lot of ground balls.
I think everybody agrees the bullpen is going to look much different next year than it did this year. It's got to be much better as a group than it was this year. But from the left side, it's, as you said, it's not crazy to think it could be Cabrera and Littleback as the 2 main guys. Ryan Yarbrough's kind of in a different category because of he's a long man spot starter. He can do so many different things. Yarbrough's a free agent at the end of the year. Cabrera and Little are under Blue Jay control. And a swing and a miss. Got him with another 2-seamer.
Yeah, and that's what you want. A lefty that can get right-handers out. And he's got the kind of weapons that can do that, because obviously with the 3-batter rule, you've got to be able to come in and face a lefty and maybe 2 righties, and that 2-seamer is wicked.
That's the first out here, top 6, and the batter now the left-handed hitting Griffin Conine. Conine today had an RBI double in the first, and he flied out to center in the fourth. Looks like he'll get an opportunity to be part of the Marlins next year.
Conine just 74 bats coming into this game, and he's done it all right. He's got 3 doubles, a triple, and 3 homers. You see Eric Swanson loosening up for the Blue Jays.
Check swing, and it's down and away, 1-1. So Yariel Rodriguez, 5 innings plus a batter, either 2 or 3 earned runs will be on his record, depending on if Berger comes in to score this inning. But whether that happens or not, I think a pretty satisfying way for him to end his season. To left field, and that's going to get down for a base hit. The runners had to make sure it was going to drop, so everybody advances 90 feet and the bases are loaded.
Watch the elevation of this pitch. It's a 2-seamer, but it's upstairs, and Conine has shown a pretty good knack for putting the bat on the ball. He doesn't necessarily hit everything hard, but he has the ability to make a lot of contact.
Infield coming in now for the Blue Jays. Bases loaded, 1 out. The batter is Dane Myers, who has struck out in each of his 2 at-bats. Back 1-1 again, up in the zone.
Yeah, and that's not where that is the most effective location for that 2-seamer, especially in this situation. Yeah, the infield is in. Ernie Clement and David Schneider are talking about it now as Ernie's backed up a little bit, gives him a little better angle should he get a ball that he can go to second base and try to turn 2.
Fouled off, 2-2. The Marlins 60-100 on the season, and I mean they dug themselves a hole early and never got out of it. They started the year 0-9. Traded away Luis Ariz, traded away Jazz Chisholm Jr. Among others. Traded away a lot of guys at the deadline. Got 11 prospects. Entirely different team in the second half, and now different but similar, like the Blue Jays trying to figure out who among the younger players that they're auditioning now may be a part of things next year.
Well, and too, I mean, there you have to ask yourself, are we in a position where we can go with younger players and allow them to learn in the big leagues? Or are we in a position to have to bring in more veterans? And I think in the Blue Jays case, I think they realize they got to bring in more veterans. I mean, this is all about getting back to contention, and with Vladdy and Bo and their impending free agency after the season in 2025, I mean, you got to make a pretty strong effort to try to be a contending ball club in the next season.
To right field, and this is carrying. It is off the wall, in play. 2 runs are going to score on a double by Myers that extends the lead to 4-1.
Well, another ball. It was up in the zone, and you can watch the elevation of this pitch. It's a backdoor fastball that's up and out of the zone, and it just barely misses hitting a home run. If it's above that light blue padding, it's out of the ballpark.
And it's the end of the afternoon for Brendan Little. Faced 4 batters, only retired 1 of them, and now Eric Swanson is on his way in.
Possibly Brendan Little, but other than that, I don't think there are any guarantees, and I don't see anybody in the organization that you say, okay, this guy's going to be ready to help us next year. They have to go outside the organization, sign free agents, make trades to shore up this bullpen, because the bullpen in this division, you cannot survive with a bad bullpen.
Infield in. A healthy Jordan Romano, obviously, assuming he is back, factors into that, but coming off elbow surgery, so
that's an unknown. I mean, as good as he has been, and he's had elbow surgery, and yeah, he works hard, and he'll be as ready as possible, but you know, how fine is he going to be?
Fly ball to center field, not very deep. Conine going back to tag. Loperfido the catch, and the throw comes through. It hits the mound. Kirk will snag it. And by that point, Conine had turned around and gone back to third, 2 down.
Yeah, center field is the toughest position in the outfield to throw from, because you have to deal with that mound all the time. When you're throwing home, it always comes into play, and that was a good example of it. It kicked off that mound and went high in the air.
That's interesting, too, because Conine and Loperfido were teammates at Duke University. Yeah. So Griffin Conine knows everything about Joey Loperfido's arm, but that ball was not hit very deep at all. Now Johnny Pareda lines one to left, and that's a base hit. 1 run is home. Here comes Myers. The throw's on the money, and they got him. Nathan Lucas with a 1-hop strike to the plate to get a sliding Myers and get the defense off the field.
Nathan is terrific, fundamentally sound at all 3 outfield positions. He throws a 1-hop strike to Kirk.
This year it is 5-1 Marlins. They just put a 3 spot up on the board, now going to bottom 6th. Right-hander Darren McCacken comes out of their bullpen.
You see McCacken between Kansas City and Miami, making his 12th appearance of the season. As we mentioned, there was a note or two that suggested he might start this game today, but that wasn't the case, so he'll take over here in the bottom of the 6th.
Joey Loperfido leading it off for the Blue Jays. He was called out on strikes in his first at bat. And a low strike call. It's 1-1. And he just said that's not even close. Not even close. Said it again, and he was right in that case. That was quite a bit low. Two and two. And had it been 3-0 instead of 2-1, he doesn't swing at that pitch.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know what? People say, well, there was only 1 strike. No, but it sets up the whole at bat, especially when you're grinding to see and make sure you get strikes. You see one that's out of the strike zone, called a strike, and it throws everything off.
And now swinging a miss to get him for out number 1.
Ball ran up and away, and McCacken gets his first strikeout. Loperfido strikes out for a 2nd time. That ball got a lot of carry on it all the way through the zone.
So 1 down, George Springer, the batter, and he takes a strike call that he didn't like. Springer 1 for 2, had a base hit his last time up. 0-2. Down and away, ball 1. Five to 1 Marlins out hitting the Blue Jays 8-2 after they beat them 15-5 last night. A bouncer to Norby at third for the 2nd out.
And Blue Jays had 12 hits in that game last night, but they were just 2 for 15 with runners in scoring position and stranded 13 in that game. And a lot of base runners just couldn't come up with key hits during the course of the 9 innings.
2 down for Nathan Lucas, who's had a good afternoon. He just threw out a runner at home plate to end the top of the 6th. And back in the 1st, he hit his first major league home run. Hopefully that baseball has or will be sent back around. Somebody went out and got it. Lucas can have that as a souvenir. I know Jonathan Clase got his a couple of days ago. Do you have the baseball from your first major league home run?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I'm thinking, I think the Moth's got it. It's old.
Was it as big a deal back then? It wasn't. It probably wasn't as big a deal.
Well, you know what happened a lot? Balls would go out of the ballpark. There were no fences beyond, no seats beyond the fences.
Right.
And so I had my first home run in Kansas City, and you know it was out into the parking lot. So yeah, I think I originally got it, but my God, that was in 1969. It probably disintegrated by now.
3-1 the count.
There were a lot of ballparks where the ball just went over the fence and disappeared. Not the case anymore.
Exhibition Stadium to right field, right? You hit the ball out there, and it just kept bouncing down to the 30-yard line, the 20-yard line, the 10-yard line. Yeah.
Touchdown. Now all the kids are going on. What are they talking about?
Yeah. Still 3-2 on Lucas. Springer watching his at bat along with Guillermo Martinez. Guerrero next if Lucas can get aboard. Vladdy 0 for 2, still looking for hit number 200 on the season. Oh, and strike 3 called. Lucas didn't like it, but he is called out on strikes, and the Blue Jays are set down in order. John Schneider, not a huge fan of the strike zone this inning, no doubt, but that'll be the end of the inning.
Customizable benefits. To become a member, visit BlueJays.com/buy season tickets.
Emily, thank you. Before you know it, it's going to be pitchers and catchers reporting, and then before you know it again, it's going to be the beginning of the regular season. And for the first time in a while, the Blue Jays will open at home Thursday, March 27th. The Baltimore Orioles will be in town for the first of 4.
March 27th.
It's getting earlier
every year.
Yeah.
Might even be able to still be skiing at Collingwood by then.
As long as we're not shoveling in Toronto.
The beauty of a dome. You know you're always going to play.
Yep.
I think that helps the attendance too, obviously, where people can travel 100 miles or so knowing full well there's not going to be a rain issue. You can make your plans long in advance.
Ball and 2 strikes, the count on Xavier Edwards. Eric Swanson back out on the mound.
How many times did you sit down at the X in a cold, rainy drizzle?
But it was the most exciting thing in the world. I was 10 years old when the Blue Jays came to town, and I would take the bus to the subway to the streetcar, walk to the X, and if it would, you know, there were scheduled doubleheaders, which is, you say it now and people are like, what are you talking, like several scheduled doubleheaders, many of them on Sundays. So, you know, back then that might mean you'd go see Jim Rice and Fred Lynn or Reggie Jackson or Richie Zisk or whoever you would see, you know, Chet Lemon,
or
great
Buck
players.
Martinez.
Pardon me, or Buck Martinez, yeah. Buck Martinez and George Brett would come to town with the Royals, and you would make a day of it. And you're right, you could sit in the football bleachers out beyond left field.
North grandstand.
The north grandstand, so the outfield wall curved, but the grandstand basically went straight because it was football. Or you could sit on the metal bleachers down the right field line, and if it was hot, you knew it was hot, and if it was cold, you knew it was cold. But you couldn't have more fun as a kid. You could not have more fun.
You remember how everybody used to bang on the aluminum seats and make all that noise? North Grandstands was a trip.
Yeah.
And we used to take batting practice, and all the kids on Saturday, all the buses would come down. They'd bring kids from camps and everything.
Yep.
And that was a buzz hours before the game.
Bullpens were visible down the lines like most parks used to have, so you could run down there before the game, and maybe if you were lucky, a Sparky Lyle was hanging around and you could try to get an autograph from him. Well, and you know this, I went down with my dad so many times, right? And he grew up a Tigers fan because he spent a lot of years in Windsor, and he was like an Al Kaline, Norm Cash fan. And then, I mean, I was too young to know, hey, is there a chance Toronto's going to get a team? Like, just boom, it was in the newspaper one day. Toronto's got a team. And this is year 48. Year 48 of this franchise. I would think and hope, like, whether it's in 2026, which will be the 50th season, or 2027, which will be the 50th anniversary season, but really in both. I hope there's all kinds of stuff like commemorating the history of this franchise.
Yeah, there sure should be. And Kevin Gausman, he'll be around a couple more years on his contract.
And a swing and a miss to get Norby 2 down. Oh, well, that's nice. Well, thank you. It is our privilege to do the games.
Well, it sure is, and we see so many of you during the course of a ball game, before batting practice and during batting practice, and we want to thank you all for your wonderful support over the years. Been a lot of fun.
Ground ball to third off the bat of Jake Berger. Addison Barger shows off the arm, and it's a nice 1-2-3 inning for Eric Swanson. 7th inning stretch at the ballpark, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. coming up first. Hit for 200 on the season. And it's not going to happen here. Ground ball out in front of the plate. Vladdy is 0 for 3. And should get another at bat today, but is not guaranteed of another at bat if the Blue Jays go in order between now and the rest of the end of the game. So 1 down. Here's Spencer Horwitz, who is 0 for 2. Takes a fastball for a strike. A ground ball pulled out to second. A nice play by Sanoja for the 2nd down. Genesis Cabrera is now up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Two down. Here's Alejandro Kirk, and he is still looking to extend that hitting streak. He has walked and lined out. A very quiet afternoon for the offense. Just 2 hits today. Line to short, and the inning is over. 2 perfect innings for McCacken. 5-1 Marlins at the end of 7. 5-1 Marlins, and perhaps the final outing of the season for Genesis Cabrera as he comes on here taking over for Eric Swanson.
Cabrera's been very good over his last 22 games. He's held the opponents to a .237 earned run average. He has struck out 18 batters in 19 innings of work for the season. This is his 69th appearance. He's been a pretty good workhorse for the Blue Jays coming out of the pen.
And the first batter he'll face, a left-handed batter, Jesus Sanchez, who is 1 for 2 with a walk. Swings through a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 0-1. Tomorrow, the final day of the season. The Blue Jays have not announced who their starting pitcher is, but clearly, unless he is needed today, Ryan Yarbrough is going to be a big piece of it because he can go multiple innings. This is popped up and may be playable. Nope. And as you may have heard if you were with us much earlier in the game, the Blue Jays made a roster move today. Another one. They're just kind of moving pitchers up and down. And Nick Robertson, who has previous major league experience with 3 different teams, has been called up. He's available in the bullpen today. Easton Lucas, who went 3 innings last night, which meant he would be unavailable this weekend. So they sent him to the spring training complex. And Nick Robertson may see some duty today or tomorrow. There's a broken bat base hit into left center for Sanchez.
Sanchez has been on base 3 times today. He walked and scored in the first. Has a couple of singles in his last 2 at-bats, and both of his hits have come against the lefties. He hit that one right off the end of the bat. But he comes up with his second hit, no stride, just using his hands to get to that baseball, and he's had a 2 for 3 day.
Now Jonah Bride, who is 1 for 3, hit an RBI single in the first. On the heels of a 2-home run game last night. Fouled off. 1-1. Excuse me. Yeah, 1-1 the count. Scoreboard has it at 0-2, but you just saw the home plate umpire David Arrieta clarify it is indeed 1-1. Now in the dirt, 2 balls and a strike. Seven at the knees. 2-2.
Yeah, that's what you like about Cabrera. He's got good velocity. He's got a couple different breaking balls, and he can come in and get a strikeout when you need it.
And now a full count. Griffin Conine on deck. The Marlins looking to add to their lead. Won the final game of their series against the Twins on Thursday. Blasted the Blue Jays last night and leading by 4 here today. This is popped up very shallow right field. And Springer coming in to make the catch. So now Conine, who's had a good series, went 2 for 5 with a home run and 3 driven in last night, and 2 for 3 with a single and a double and a run driven in here today. Runner goes. And off the glove of Kirk to the backstop. He kind of got out of his crouch to get rid of that throw quicker, Buck, but he never came up with a baseball.
Yeah, he was getting in position to make the throw, and the ball moved on him a little bit, so he just had to go off his glove. It'll be a stolen base for Sanchez, his 16th of the season. You see how Kirk got his movement going before he caught the ball, and it's just beyond his reach. tipped off the end of his glove. It'll be a stolen base, nothing more.
Bounce foul, 1-1 on Conine.
There's no catcher that I ever saw play that did that better than Russell Martin. Russell would get moving before he got the ball, and he was such a great athlete. He, of course, played a lot of infield, and he would get his body moving before he would catch that ball and get himself in a position to really make a great throw. He had a lot of athletic ability behind the plate.
And a diving stop by Schneider. He will keep it from getting past him, which will keep Sanchez from scoring, so they can't get an out, but a good play by Davis Schneider to prevent that ball from getting through to the outfield.
And another hit for Conine. A 3-hit game for him today. And Davis does a good job in this situation. You tell yourself, knock the ball down, and he had an idea that runner might be rounding third, so he gets it in quickly. Cabrera cuts it off, and Sanchez has to stop at third.
So runners on the corners, one out. The Marlins threatening again, and here's Dane Myers. He was the guy who hit the 2-run double off the wall in right, maybe a foot away from being a home run.
They hit that off of the left-hander Brendan Little, the last batter that Little faced in the 6th. And he was thrown out at the plate trying to score on the base hit by Paredes.
2 balls, no strikes now on Myers.
Paredes, the catcher, had a base hit to left field, knocked in one, but Myers was thrown out at the plate trying to score by Nathan Lucas.
You saw Bo Bichette. He is still with the team, heavily bandaged right hand after the surgery earlier this week in Arizona. This ball ripped deep left center field, and it is up and back in play. And at the moment, it is not being called a home run. The third base umpire, Ryan Addison, has said that ball is in play, but right away the umpires are coming in and they're going to review that to see if it was indeed a home run. And this is a crew chief review, so even if you've lost your challenge, the umpires will take a look at this.
Yeah, and there is a metal fence above the light blue padded portion of the wall, and this is Chris Guccione.
The call on the field is no home run. This will be a crew chief challenge.
So this ball is hit deep to center field, and it appears to hit on the top of the padding, and then if it hits the fence beyond it, it hit that metal fence above the padding. That's going to be ruled a home run, I believe, because it hit and then bounced up right
and
there.
Hit the railing. Yeah.
It hits the railing.
That's a home run.
Yep.
After review, the call is a home run.
So a 3-run homer for Myers. How about his afternoon? He has now driven in 5 runs in the game, and the Marlins have broken it open.
Marlins are swinging the bats like the Yankees in this series. Lots of power. Another home run, and they have really put a number on the Blue Jays here. 7 runs, 8 runs now on 11 hits.
The batter now, Javier Sanoja. Popped up. Schneider at second. 2 down. And Nick Robertson, we just told you about him, just called up by the Blue Jays today. Whether it's this inning or next, looks like he's on the verge of becoming yet another reliever, Buck, to make his Blue Jay debut here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but the Blue Jays haven't had any depth in their minor leagues to help them from their minor leagues, so they've had to go on outside the organization and bring in some pitchers.
Tracking it is Loperfido. Pareda is retired, and the side is retired, but not before the Marlins tack on 3 more. Against the Marlins have outscored the Blue Jays 23-6 so far in this series. As Ernie Clement leads it off, it'll be the 3rd inning for Darren McCacken, who has retired all 6 batters he's faced so far. Clement, Barger, and Schneider due up here in the 8th inning. Nice play by Edwards at short, but safe at first is Clement.
Yeah, very good scoop on the backhand, but the throw was just a tad high, and Berger couldn't hang on to it. That was a tough play. Ernie hit it hard and right to the backhand side for the shortstop. Kind of staggered him, and when he came back to make the throw, it was a high throw. An infield hit for Ernie Clement.
So Clement is aboard to begin the bottom of the 8th, and here's Addison Barger, who's 0 for 2. Just the 3rd hit of the game for the Blue Jays. And takes one in there, 1-1. Way up in the air to right. Will it have enough to get out of here? It will not. It'll be caught a few feet in front of the fence by Sanchez. 1 down.
Barger just got underneath that. It was up in the zone. He went up and got it, and looked for a moment like it might snake over the fence in right field, but Sanchez was there camped on the warning track and made the catch.
So now Davis Schneider, who has grounded out in his 2 at-bats this afternoon. Oh, 0-1. Oh, 2. And check the swing at a breaking ball that comes in low for ball 1. The Tigers clinched a playoff spot last night. What a great last couple of months they have had, but there's still seeding to be decided between the Tigers and the Royals as the 2nd or 3rd wild card teams. Tigers are trailing the White Sox 2-0 in the 7th today as Schneider strikes out. And up at the top between the Yankees and the Guardians, it is still to be decided who the 1 seed is and who the 2 seed is in the American League playoffs. Both will get byes.
Cleveland plays the Astros later on this evening, and the Yankees, they lost today to the Pirates.
Two down. Here's Joey Loperfido, who has struck out in each of his 2 at-bats. Paul Skeens went just a couple of innings for the Pirates today, struck out 3. Obviously they were watching his innings. What an outstanding rookie season he's had. And a ground ground ball to second, and that will end the inning. Through 8 here with the Rogers Center, it remains the Marlins 8 and the Blue Jays. Right-hander Nick Robertson, who was claimed on waivers from the Angels 11 days ago, made 2 outings with Buffalo before the AAA season ended, and is now about to become the 34th pitcher to make an appearance for the Blue Jays this year. 3 of them position players, so if you want to take those out, the 31st true pitcher to appear on the mound for the Blue Jays in a game this season.
Yeah, and we talked about the Marlins using 45 pitchers this season. The Blue Jays aren't that much farther behind them. Robertson was originally drafted by the Dodgers back in 2019. He was traded from LA to Boston for Kike Hernandez, along with another minor leaguer. And then he went from Boston to the Cardinals for Tyler O'Neill. So he's been included in some significant trades, and you mentioned he's been claimed off waivers twice this year, once by the Angels and now by the Blue Jays.
Top of the order for the Marlins, Xavier Edwards, who is 1 for 3 with a walk. 8 runs on 11 hits for the Marlins, 1 run on just 3 hits for the Blue Jays. And this is bounced back to the mound. Robertson has it, and the underhand toss to Horwitz for the out. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to come up in the bottom of the 9th. He is due up 3rd, so he'll have one more shot here today at hit number 200. Tell me how you feel about this. Let's say he doesn't get it today. I think he leads off tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yeah, he'll lead off tomorrow and get as many at-bats as possible just to make sure he can reach that 200 hit plateau. But he would just as soon get it in his next at-bat.
Although I wonder if he'd like to get it in a closer game where it drives in a run or it means something. I know it's the last day of the season. They're not in a race, but I guess many years from now when he looks back on it, it'll just be did he get it or not that matters the most. And hopefully he'll have other good seasons and other opportunities. In there, 2-2.
You mentioned all the former Blue Jays that have had 200 hits in a season, and I think the only one that's had multiple 200 hits was Paul Molitor, who did it 4 times in his career, just a couple times with the Blue Jays.
Lined out to second, Davis Schneider right there, 2 down. Now Jake Berger, who's 1 for 4. Up high, ball 1. So tomorrow looks like Yarbrough and company. Ryan Burr would be available, Chad Green, Dylan Tate on the last day of the season.
And it might not be Burr to start. I mean, Yarbrough to start. He might be a bulk guy like he's done so frequently in his career.
Fly ball to right, going back is Springer, and he's got room. Nick Robertson with a clean inning, and it's on to the bottom of the 9th. It'll be Springer, Lucas, and then Guerrero, with Darren McCacken still on the mound for the Marlins. He's had 3 strong innings. Springer is 1 for 3 today. You never know if he might be in there or not on the last day of the season. He's been out a little bit more frequently lately. This could theoretically be his last at bat of the regular season.
Xavier Curry went 5 innings, allowed a run on 2 hits. The only run he gave up was a first inning home run to Nathan Lucas, the first big league home run for Lucas. And McCacken, he's in line for a save. His second big league save.
Now to play right side, still 1-2. Over 35,000 here today. Two and two. And up and in, a full count. Lucas next. Again, he's had a good day. His first big league homer, the only run the Blue Jays have this afternoon. But it has been pretty much all Marlins for the second day in a row.
Lucas also got down a runner at home plate trying to score. Made a terrific one-hop throw back in the 6th inning.
Guerrero due up third. Horwitz alongside him. He would come up if anybody gets on here this inning. And that is ball 4. And you can see the smirk from McCacken. That easily could have been strike 3. But Springer aboard and a man on now for Lucas.
McCacken's only allowed 2 base runners, an infield hit to Ernie Clement, and then that walk to Springer. He's got 3 strikeouts since coming into the game, and now just the 1 walk.
Lucas lifts one to center. Myers doesn't have to move much at all to make the catch. 1 down. Springer back to first, and that'll bring up Guerrero, who is 0 for 3. The second time he will see McCacken this afternoon. Takes a breaking ball for a strike. Vladdy is well aware of the milestone. He's kind of been playfully counting it down in recent days. One ball and 1 strike. Vlad Sr. had 200 or more hits 4 times in his career. Pretty talented family. And that got a piece of the catcher, Pareda, and he is in considerable pain.
Right off his toe. You can see he's got that extended guard on his top of his foot, but it hit right off his toe. Look at how he's got it out extended like that. You know, that's another thing about catching on one knee. You expose your body to different areas that aren't protected because you're putting him in harm's way. The shin guards are meant and built to protect you when you're facing the pitcher, and then when you put that leg out to the side, there's a lot of unprotected areas there.
Pareda is going to stay in the game. And back in his crouch as Guerrero still outside the box. The count is 1-2. Vladdy just did get a piece of it.
Well, that was way outside, and we haven't seen Vladdy chase too many pitches that far off the plate, but it's a big breaking ball, and you can see he just barely gets a piece of it, and he really had to extend to foul that ball out.
He strikes out. McCacken got him, and a little frustration there from Vladdy is now in all likelihood, Buck, he'll have one more game to try to get hit number 200.
Yeah, and he had an over, and he lined out in his first at bat, kind of a soft line drive to center field, and since then he's popped out, little tap right in front of home, and he struck out.
So the Blue Jays down to their final out. It'll be Spencer Horwitz, who's 0 for 3. The Marlins will start a left-hander tomorrow, Ryan Weathers, and again the Blue Jays are TBA right now.
Ryan Weathers' dad was a former draft pick of the Blue Jays. Yeah. David Weathers, back in 1988, made
some good years. He had a long career.
He had a very good year. He pitched for a long time, 19 years in the big leagues. Came up with the Blue Jays in 91 and 92 and got into just 17 games in those 2 seasons and then bounced around.
And again, if it were to happen, and we don't know, but just a playful guess, if Guerrero leads off, it'll be the first time Vladdy will ever lead off at the big league level, but they might do it just to get him more at bats. This is going to drop. It'll be a base hit for Horwitz. Springer up to second.
That's a nice little serve into left field. That pitch was up and away, and he just stayed on it. And it's a changeup, and he stays on it. That ball is off the plate. Just gets enough of it to get over the infield.
And it also gets Alejandro Kirk up there one more time with a chance to extend his hitting streak, which is at 18 games. They'd love to be talking about more than, personal milestones and achievements at this point of the season, but that is not the case. And what Guerrero's done the last 4 or 5 months and what Kirk's done the last couple of months. The hitting streak is going to end here for Kirk. This is popped up and caught, and that's the ball game. And the Marlins make it 2 in a row in rather one-sided fashion, Buck, over the Blue Jays.
Well, absolutely. They come in swinging the bats. 15 runs in the game last night, 8 more here today, and they put a beating on the Blue Jays in the first 2 games of this series. And Blue Jays are trying to salvage the final game of the series, the final game of the season, tomorrow afternoon.
One more game to come, and we will have it for you tomorrow afternoon.